Good morning, everyone. We are Eloise and Eloise. Eloise is lecturer and graphic designer at the University of Southampton, and I work as phone developer and type designer at Studio Typography in London. We are going to present you this investigation about the Small Pica Roman or philosophy code dated from around 1580 by Hendrik and Keere.
So we're talking about this project, and like the last project, the art project, this also started as part of the expert type class, which takes place at the Plantin Museum in Antwerp. So this is our team, this is the group that works on the project, and as part of the course, we are required to make a revival. So the reason we decided to make this revival is because we wanted to focus on a punch cutter from Belgium, and specifically from Antwerp, so Hendrik and Keere. We also had access to an amazing amount of material. There's over 40 sets of matrices of punches within the Plantin-Moretus Museum belonging to Van Keere. Our backgrounds, as you can see, are quite varied in terms of both nationality and also our experience. So I come from education and graphic design. As Ellie said, he works as a type designer. So we had a really mixed range of experiences between us. So the other members of the group, Moritz, Alvaro, Preston, are all within the audience as well. And between us, we travelled from London, Barcelona, Sofia, and Düsseldorf, and we travelled over a period of 9 months, I think about 11 or 12 times, in order to come to the classes and also to undertake research.
Okay, so a brief introduction to Hendrik van Keere. He was born in 1540 and passed away in 1580, very young. He was originally from Ghent, and he was born in the context of a printmaking family. So when he started in 1568 working for Christophe Plantin, he already had all this background. And from 1570 he was sole punchcutter and supplier of type. So our project was a revival of the philosophy Romain. You can see it in the middle, dated from around 1580. But we also decided to expand the research to a smaller code and to a bigger code. So on the right, you can see the Real Romain from around 1575, and on the left you can see the Ascendonica Romain from around 1576. These are the pictures of the punches, but we also had access to the matrices, and this was a unique experience for us, having access to all this historical material was crucial for the development of the project, and I think it changed in a good way our approach to the type design in general. These are pictures of printed books from the 16th century, showing the Ascendonica Romain on the left, which is around 20 pica points. The philosophy Romain around 10.5 pica points, and the Real Romain on the right around 6.5 pica points. You can see here that they look a bit different, the weights, but in the research we found interesting things. So this is a picture of the Jolie, just to show you the scale, the line size is cut. We did the pictures with a microscopic camera. And we decided to do the research with the punches. These are the punches for the lowercase letters of the philosophy. And we decided to go only for the lowercase letters in the research because the Ascendonica, which is the 20 pica points, has only lowercase letters designed by Keere. The uppercase letters were taught by Robert Plantin. So this was the lowercase were an adaptation to the uppercase letters. And so we decided to go for the lowercase letters. Here, as you all know, punches are in the face in the punches is in a flip direction. So we had to reverse them in order to compare and to have this comparison, scaling them to the same X height. We can see here, for example, in the top row for the Ascendonica, the M is slightly narrower. And also, if we look at the bottom row for the Jolie, the R is slightly wider. Same here for the X in the Jolie. You can see it's slightly wider than the others in the bottom row. We did this comparison for the lowercase letters. We can check here, for example, the lowercase b in the bottom row and the e as well. They are slightly wider. For the characters with descenders, we have very similar proportions. We also did this comparison in the contrast, and we can see here, for example, in the top row, that the contrast is higher than in the other dots. The Real Romain in the bottom row is the code that has less contrast of the figure. We compared also the proportions in ascenders and descenders. You can see here on the left the Ascendonica, in the middle is the philosophy, and on the right is Jolie. For the F, you see on the left side, it's taller than the other letters. And then for the descenders, we found that they were very, very similar. So we also compared the series. In the top row, we can see the Ascendonica has thinner serifs than the philosophy, and the Jolie has the thicker serifs. You can see on the right row for the letter L at the bottom, the Jolie has the longest serifs. We did this for most of the letters, and we are showing you just a selection of them. This is for the M and the N. It's the same at the bottom row. We can see how the serif in the Jolie are heavier. And we also did this comparison in the spurs. You can see here also the contrast in the D and in the U. And also how the serifs are longer in the X. These are the top serifs for the X, K, and Z. Here you can see how they are thinner in the Ascendonica on the top. So we had these conclusions after doing this research. Hendrik and Keere systematically developed these typefaces based on the same model. We don't exactly know how he did that, but what we know is only that there was some kind of standardization in the design. The similarities were the construction styles, the weight and stem widths. Most of them the letters had similar proportions. The length of ascenders and descenders as well was almost identical. And the difference the main difference that we found were the contrast. The Ascendonica was high, and the philosophy is slightly less than the Ascendonica, and the jury was medium contrast. For the serifs, we found the Ascendonica had the thinner serifs, and the jury slightly heavier serifs, and the philosophy, and the jury had the heaviest and longest serifs. This is a summary of all the conclusions that we had. We are showing here the width, the weight, contrast, stem thickness, ascenders, descenders, serifs. That's all that we have passed through so far. Yes, so Eloise is going to talk to you about the process that we followed in this revival.
So for this process, as we said, we've had access to the matrices and the punches. We also had access to lots of historical material in terms of contextual information and books. And here are some images of some of the tools and equipment we use. So Ellie already mentioned the USB microscope camera, so you can see it here in action with the matrices on the right, the copper matrices. And then we have the punches at the bottom. So the punches were so small, it would have been impossible to see them without this, using this camera. So one of the things that was really interesting working from print material, as you saw from the earlier images, is there was a lot of ink spread and kind of variation between each of the printed examples, despite the fact that when we looked at the metal, we noticed that there was really very, very similar features to all of the typefaces. So as individuals, we used a mixture of punches, matrices, and the printed material in order to develop our own interpretations. And this was also where our backgrounds became really interesting in the way that we approached the typeface design. So some of us have not made a revival before, or maybe less experienced or more experienced in type design. And so some of us really copied exactly the kind of shapes and defects and the elements within the metal or print, and some of us went with a much more modular approach. So in the next few slides, we have some examples of our early sort of individual interpretations, which we brought together to discuss as a group project. And at this stage was when we really noticed that some of the things we would have expected from a small text typeface, a small Roman, which we were focusing on with the philosophy, that's where we discovered that actually there were features that were much more, as you would expect for a display typeface in the Ascendonica. So although there was high contrast in the Ascendonica, and it was higher than the smaller typefaces, it was very, very similar. And as a result, you can see here that some of these A's have quite high contrast, more than you would expect to find in a very small text typeface. You can also see that there's a big variation in kind of small details. So things like the serif. If you look at the curl and the curve of how people have interpreted the individual letter forms. Here again, there's some ends, so you can see the differences. And the O, you can see even with the angle of stress with the O, there was a huge variation, and we were all looking at very similar material here. But the differences mainly came from looking at printed and metal, the difference between looking at printed and metal material. And the B is quite a nice example of where the metal became really important. So you can see on the B by Alvaro and by Preston, there is a spur, which is not evident on the other Bs. And one of the reasons for that is this spur was only visible really very clearly from the metal punches. So it was difficult for us to kind of make decisions about how to kind of interpret these different interpretations, how to kind of take them forward into one coherent typeface. So this is the process that we went through. We kind of printed out all of these letter forms, had big discussions, big kind of arguments, and had to make a lot of decisions. And it's really, really difficult working in a group, and I'm sure lots of you have experience. You have to really let go of your own interpretation of how you think this typeface should kind of progress and really kind of work towards making a coherent set of characters that make sense in a group project. So between us, we used a big range of tools, some that we were used to, some of us tried new tools out as well. So pass back over to Hendrik.
Yeah, well, we had different experience with the font software. Some of us were working with FontLab or RoboFont or Blitz. We also used letter modeler to define or to have as a reference the proportions of the letters. To AutoCAD the font, the final font file, we used PontMaster and KMaster, while the software was supplied by our tutor.
So here you can see a kind of composition in Photoshop of the metal and the printed type. So you can see the comparison if you're thinking about how to interpret the letter forms. You know, this is the material that we might be working from. So this is how the differences kind of came about. And here are some examples of the kind of research material again. So the top left image is using Glyph Collector, which is an app which you can put in scans of lots of different material, and it will collect a particular character for you. So, and then it will give you an average kind of shape. So it's really useful in terms of kind of negating the effects of ink spray, etc. But the image on the right shows you the overlays, sort of photoshopped versions. The clarity of the punch, you can see here using a microscopic camera, and this really was so useful in terms of trying to think what, in terms of the digital contemporary typeface, how we could kind of keep the essence of this Renaissance typeface. So we went through several iterations to get to our final typeface. So you can see here, this is one of the first versions that we came up with.
So this is the second version. In this version, we included the U and the F and the long S from another some other members of the group, also the I. You can see it's very consistent. And then on this example, you can see they are more consistent. The design has been refined. And in the end, we have this. This is our final result, the revival. So we have here some features of the design, slightly sloped secondary stems, some calligraphic influence, medium contrast, teardrop terminals, medium aperture, the right axis on the O, the Romanesque arc on the N, and the slightly concave serifs. Basically, those are the features. And this is the character set that we give.
So here's a specimen sort of showing that typeface in use. And as you can see, really it's much more of a display typeface, so we've kept the high contrast, even though we started off with the intention of designing really a text typeface for really small sizes. And this is something that we want to continue to work on. It was this year that we just finished, so it's August, and we just kind of finished up to the point that you're seeing today. And if you'd like to see more information about this typeface and also our own individual projects, there is an exhibition on. I think there's information perhaps about the course in your goodie bags that you'll get later today as well. So we have this exhibition on until the 26th of October. It's at the St. Paul's Church in Antwerp, which is a really amazing church, and it's open every day between 2 and 5. And we'd also like to say a really big thank you for the support from our tutor, Frank, who's here, and also from Jan van der Linden from the Plantin Institute, and also to the librarians of the museum who obviously were really invaluable for us. So, thank you.